not leave these fans disappointed after that race. After the false start, you got to go back into your second place. You changed the tire and you flipped. Walk us through everything that was going through your mind.
I don't know if I'm still with it here yet, but and when they said I could get our spot back, you know, I was pumped. We went back in, changed the tire, and came back out, and steering wheel was cocked. They told me some truck had some tow out, but I said, you know, we're still going for this, and something in the flip, the fans weren't working. The water's at 250, the oil's over 300, you know, AMS oil. These Kumo tires at the end of the race, Boss Plow, Fox Racing shocks. You've seen us skipping through that whoop section. I mean, that's why we're here today.
Take a look at the points, and you can see that Chad Horde and Jeff Kincaid are deadlocked. Kyle LeDuc is only one back. And we have a great championship through 4 rounds of racing here in the Pro Light Division. Remember this moment from the last time we were on? That's Johnny Greaves, and he wasn't happy then. Will he get revenge today? Stay with us and find out.
I figure the engineers who built the Ford F-150 are probably the same guys we all cheated off of in science.
Along with Ivan Stewart and Kimberly Pressler, I'm Marty Reed, and honey, I've shrunk the trucks. Well, not really. That's just some of the fun you can have at a Torc racing event. And keep an eye on the schedule. We might be coming to an area near you. We're at Peris Auto Speedway for Pro 4x4, the Kumo Tire Pro 4x4s, as they are out on the track right now. And there is Johnny Greaves, 8 career off-road championships, but the last time we saw him, he was end over end. And just in case you weren't with us, this is what we're talking about. Kimberly Pressler, talk to him.
How does this crash rate to all the other crashes that you've had?
I seem to be one of the most experienced at crashing, so it really wasn't that bad. It probably looked worse than it was, because when it dug into the soft dirt, it took up a big chunk of the track, and then you saw these craters and meteors flying around inside the truck as I'm flipping around, and then when it finally comes to a rest, one bonks me in the head, and but I got out of there fine, and wasn't sore the next day or anything. So to me, I was more heartbroken that the A-arm was broke, because I think we still could have got it on its wheels and gave those guys a run.
Ivan, that's what I love about you guys that drive these things. If I just could have kept it in one piece, I could have kept running.
He is one tough guy. I just love Johnny Greaves, and a tremendous amount of talent. Here they go, Barlow.
You saw our starting lineup, and it's Steve Barlow on point as he has the pole with the inverted starting positions, and he is trying to hold on to the race lead, but diving down to the inside. Guess who? The 22 of Johnny Greaves.
These guys, a 4-wheel drive now. These about 750, 900 horsepower. Minimum weight about 3,700 pounds.
Oh, and take a look right behind also is about 3 or 4 trucks, including Scott Douglas, trying to get into this mix.
Again, the same handling characteristics. Big difference here. There's more weight, but they got those front-wheel drive trucks that are pulling that front around. Oh, we got a sideways.
On board with Kyle LeDuc. As you look back a little bit further, right now it's Johnny Greaves and Steve Barlow. Barlow in the 2, Johnny in the 22, and Scott Douglas, the Traxxas onboard camera.
Now, Steve Barlow comes from desert racing. He doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Actually, Steve Barlow probably does better on the bigger tracks a lot. Some of the other guys, he favors the bigger tracks. I don't expect Steve Barlow to be real strong tonight, to be honest.
Let's go back and show you some of this contact that we talked about. That is the 7 of Scott Douglas that got turned around. Now, is that a penalty situation, you think?
That could be. It depends. We'll see at the end of the race, see if they throw a yellow. Whoop, we got 2 wheels.
Whoa, and that was Rick Huseman doing a nice job getting it off the bicycle. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, you can see we've got a problem with Adrian Cheney. As you see, he has gotten off course and now back onto the course.
Whoop, we got
Whoa! And Steve Barlow has broken the right front wheel as he got up on the wall. Don't these guys understand you're supposed to keep it on the dirt, not on the wall?
I just mentioned that Steve will typically do better in a bigger course. I don't think it really, these little short tracks fit some guys' driving style. Steve's one of them.
One guy you can put on any track is right there. That is Johnny Greaves, as he is well out in front of Rick Huseman. And then it's Kyle LeDuc right there in 3rd, and his father, Kurt LeDuc, running in 4th.
It looks like Kurt's got a little flat tire. He's got a smoking cup. Something's coming out of that truck other than mud off the rear tires.
Well, and as you watch Johnny Greaves make his way around this track, it looks like, yes, race officials are going to throw the caution flag as there is a damage to the fence where Steve Barlow went through. And in fact, there is the work going on the track. And let's take you back and show you exactly, if you weren't paying close attention, we were talking about how these guys have been driving up on the concrete. Well, here's a case where Steve got up even farther.
Well, the trucks are really tough, and they're built for this, but not for hitting that fence like that, Marty. That's just too hard.
Well, and while we've got a chance, let's take you back to last night's action in our Kumho Tires Pro 4x4. And you want to talk about the fact that this is a contact sport. We only had 9 trucks in this deal, but look at how many guys are banging into each other.
You know, anytime you throw a green flag, these guys are going to get aggressive. 2 wheels, you got 1 wheel. You got Steve Barlow with no wheels.
Well, and it was Johnny Greaves picking up the win. Remember, he had that crash in round number 2 that relegated him to 9th place. He won last night, and he is leading again as we're back to green flag racing, as he is jumping out to about a 3-truck length lead right from the get-go.
You know, these guys, Marty, some of these guys are using a coupling system where it's kind of unique in that when they get out of the throttle, they're in 2-wheel drive. When they get back on the throttle, they're in 4-wheel drive. Something I'm trying to learn more about, but that's the technology of 4-wheel drive racing.
It never stays the same, does it, Ivan?
It never stays the same, and it typically gets more expensive.
Yeah, unfortunately for everybody. All right, take a look at the battle right now, because there comes Kyle LeDuc as he's trying to get under the 36 of Rick Huseman. Huseman's, meanwhile, trying to focus on catching Johnny Greaves.
And if he catches Johnny Greaves, he's doing something. He is, well, I tell you what,
Whoa,
Kyle is aggressive, but he always is. That's a racing family, as you know.
Yeah, all the kids, I mean, 3 of them are in this series racing, as well as Dad Kurt. Kurt's a little bit further back and forth. Again, the high line seems to be the fast way around on that left-hand sweeper. And it is Johnny Greaves still in front of Rick Huseman in the 36. Boy, he has really pitched it there.
Oh, look how he rotates that truck. People say, well, how can you get a 4-wheel drive to slide like that? Typically, you drive a 4-wheel drive around corners. But when you're doing 80 miles an hour, and that's 80, 85, 90 miles an hour into these corners, you picture sideways, they'll get sideways, even if it is 4-wheel drive.
And Rick Huseman going door to door as they're battling for the race lead now. Remember, these are 4,000-pound trucks that you're sliding around here as well. And it is Johnny Greaves in the 22. He had the inside line on that left-hander, and that's experiences.
These guys are having a great time, I tell you. They're teammates, so to speak, both in Toyota. Tremendous amount of horsepower, lots and lots of talent. And if Rick gets by Johnny Greaves, let me tell you, I'd be proud of him. He is one tough guy to get by. Probably one of the best drivers out here, Marty, in my opinion.
Well, we are still far from the halfway point of this race. These guys are leaning on those trucks as much as they can.
I just saw something again. Now, you watch again. Now, as you see the lead truck go through Johnny Greaves, you'll see the back of the truck kick a little bit. And Huseman stays right on the ground. And it's just that little bit is going to make a big difference. I see a lot of flames coming out of Johnny's truck, and that's just fuel. A lot of people think that could be a fire or something. That's just excess fuel coming out the exhaust.
No harm, no foul.
No harm, no foul. Once in a while, you even see sparks on these trucks when they come off the rear brakes.
Take you back and show you what happened back in the pack. The 43 is Kurt LeDuc. He turns Adrian Cheney and stuffs him into the wall. And these two have history.
They do also. You know, the vulnerable part of these race trucks, whenever you damage that steering components, I was going to say radiator, but they have radiators in the back, but typically steering components is what you don't want to damage in these trucks.
Take a look at the battle for the race lead. You've got Huseman in the 36, but Johnny's going to have the inside line on the left-hander coming up in the 22, and that Toyota makes the turn, and he'll hold on to the lead. We've got one more break, heading for the finish line. Stay with us.
Okay, so the Ford F-150 is...
Traxxas Torque Truck Series, presented by AMSOIL, brought to you by Traxxas, the fastest name in radio control. AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. And Kumho Tires, get your style. Back here at Peris Auto Speedway, let's reset it for you. There's your race leader in Kumho Tires Pro 4x4. That's Johnny Greaves, followed by the 36 of Rick Huseman, and the 7 of Scott Douglas. We're on board with the Traxxas onboard camera. Remember when he got spun earlier in the race, and he has come back for third. And here we go with the battle for the race lead. That is Rick Huseman, and he finally gets it done. In that very same corner, he has worked it lap after lap, Ivan.
He's been watching and watching, trying to set him up. And here comes Scott. Now, Scott is irritated. I know Scott from way back. When he gets spun out, he's going to be mad. He's going to be on the warpath. And he's doing very good to run as good as he is against these two guys.
That is an amazing recovery after getting completely turned early in the race. And right now, you can see it's Huseman, Greaves, and then Scott Douglas. But remember, we had that mandatory caution, and that's what it does. It allows guys to get that second light.
Marty and I really like that. I don't know what your opinion is, but I really like the fact that a bunch of those guys back up again. Let them go at it again. They get too strung out.
see Rick Huseman, after winning both rounds in Texas, he is the points leader coming into this race. Finished 4th in last night's action in round number 3.
You know what happened? I've seen it happen with Jimmy Johnson. I've seen it with all the newcomers that come in and relatively newcomers. You give him a lot of confidence. He's on a roll. Rick has got the confidence. He knows he can win. He wants it. He's hungry. And he's not intimidated by Johnny Greaves. And that's defeat old Johnny Greaves. And you're doing something really well.
Well, what's really surprising is look at the lead that he has opened up. I mean, it's about now 10 truck lengths.
He's on a roll. I mean, he's doing. Plus, his truck is working really well. There are so many adjustments to these trucks. We're talking about the tire grooving too. That's a big factor. You get a good tire groover, he'll look at that track and see how hard it is, and if he should take rubber out or put rubber in. You can't put rubber in, obviously, where you want to leave the rubber in, rather. But if it's a muddy track, you want the big open lugs.
These three have checked out on the rest of the field. Kyle LeDuc is 4th. Kurt LeDuc is 5th. And this is going to be decided between the guys that you see in your screen and one further up. That is 2nd place, Johnny Greaves, and Scott Douglas in 3rd.
Listen to that horsepower. I love to hear the motors rev. They're running up there, 8,000, 9,000 RPMs, they tell me. Look how
Through
good
the
that
rhythm
truck.
section, yeah.
That truck looks good, doesn't it?
Oh, and it looks like Douglas got on the binders hard to keep from T-boning Johnny Greaves.
He didn't get on him raw. I know, Scott, he got him on a hard, but not as hard as he should have, obviously. He may get him yet.
He didn't turn him.
No, he didn't spin him out.
I mean, he could have turned him over if he'd have kept going.
And we've seen that so many times.
Take another look at this on the right-hand side.
Lots of flames, huh? A lot of fuel not being burned. Whoop. Run right into him there, Scott.
Yeah. But you could see the right front tire was locked up, so he was trying to slow down.
Yeah, that's very important, because there's a big difference between running into a guy and sliding into him and trying to get around the corner. That's called racing, I think.
Meanwhile, Rick Huseman is missing all this great action behind him because he is trying to get away from these two.
Yeah, he don't care. He actually, to be honest, what happens when these two guys get banging back and forth, it costs time, gives Rick a chance to get away. And that's what Rick wants. Stay back there and beat on each other for a while. Let me get away.
Back on board momentarily. You see it now. It looks like he's got the inside line. The 7 of Scott Douglas. Can he make it stick on that low line? Don't think so.
He doesn't quite have it. He doesn't quite have the power, the tire green. There's so many different combinations, like I say, the springs, the shocks. Whoa, way wide. Whoa, too wide.
Boy, both of them. Both of them. And you think that's tire?
It could be. They're wearing the tires out. Like I say, you take 900 horsepower. You spin these tires for 20 laps. You're taking rubber off there like crazy.
And 4,000 pounds of race truck. Remember that.
You know, if Johnny hadn't got in there, or Scott hadn't got in there so hard, Johnny made the mistake on that big sweeping left-hander. Scott could have tucked underneath him. He just got in there hot, too.
White flag is out. 1 lap to go, and the only way Rick Huseman loses this one is if he makes a major mistake, because he has checked out on 2nd and 3rd.
I don't think it's going to happen. He's got it. He's on a roll.
Couple more turns as the battle for 2nd is the closest battle we have on the racetrack here in the Kumho Tires 4x4.
I heard an interesting fact the other day. These engines pump something like 20 gallons of oil a minute through the engine with a dry sub system. Unbelievable.
So just another turn, and that'll be a checkered flag staring Rick Huseman square in his face as he's going to win for the 3rd time in 4 rounds and widen his points lead here in the Kumho Tires Pro 4 division. Behind him, Johnny Greaves. Scott Douglas will end up in 3rd. And when you take a look at the final results, you'll see a lot of guys with attrition very high in this race. Let's check in with Kimberly Pressler.
That was the most awesome race I've ever had. Nice, clean race, and my teammate, we're battling it out. 2 monster trucks is just awesome. Monster Toyotas, got to thank those guys. It's awesome at Toyo Tires, and
I could see him getting inside me every time, and we were having a little bit of brake issues and getting it to turn in right, and I knew eventually I was going to open the door too wide for him because I could see him out of the corner of my eye every time getting that inside, and I thought the one time he got a fender on me, I just backed out of it. I need to finish races consistently on the podium and get back in this points hunt.
And remember this moment a little bit earlier. Watch the 43 turn the 7 of Scott Douglas. We talked to him.
I'm running everybody so clean. It's obvious how clean I'm running them. And the first lap, these guys can't make it around one stinking lap. They're supposed to be professionals, And I guess the officials, I don't know, they got sunglasses on at night, so maybe they ought to take them off.
So obviously Scott Douglas not a happy camper, but take a look at the points. Rick Huseman now leads by 15 over Greaves, 18 over Scott Douglas. That's going to do it for this round of the Traxxas Torc Off-Road Truck Series presented by AMSOIL. Our next event coming up is going to be in Crandon, Wisconsin on ESPN2, Sunday, June 28th at 12:30 Eastern Time. For Ivan Stewart, Kimberly Pressler, I'm Marty Reed. Till we meet again.